Hello, good evening, and welcome to the mountain. Yes, it's Bathurst for round 9 of season 1 of the 2026 Radical Race Series, aka Battle of the Radicals, your SR8s versus the newcomers, your SR10s. My name is Edward Hunter. Joining me in the commentary box, I'm delighted to say, it's my first time in a while. I'm rejoined by Mr. Jim Cunningham. Welcome to South Australia, Jim.
Yeah, man. I tell you what, who doesn't love Bathurst? Of course, we've gotten a huge dose of Bathurst recently here on iRacing, obviously with the 12 hours of Bathurst being last weekend. But you can't get enough of this place. Really, it's arguably my second favorite or third favorite track to drive. The Nürburgring, Nordschleife, would be first, but after that, I mean, I love driving this place. Not as much racing here. It's a tough place to race. I seem to get I get a little too impatient. I end up wrecking on the mountain somewhere along the way. But I do love this place a lot. And I think with these radicals and what we've had all season, I think we're going to get a really good high quality race here. To be honest with you.
Certainly. Of course, we've got two, haven't we? Because there's
Yes,
there's
that's true.
Sprint and then the feature after, which is the reverse grid one, of course. So that's going to be fascinating to see who is, of course, going to come out on top. It's been pretty close in terms of overall, but also in our SR8s, they have been very, very competitive. SR10s, to the surprise of very few people, it is Simon Edwards on top by a significant margin, but a big battle for P2 there. So first off, let's look at our SR8 standings. As you can see on the board in front of you, it is the two Shushke siblings, I believe.
Yes, brothers.
Aren't they?
Yes.
Brothers, yes. So, siblings is a good sort of catch-all if you're not sure about what the relationship is. But yeah, Alexander and leading his brother Christian Shushke by 43 points with 2 rounds remaining, including this one, of course. So it'll be this as round 9, and round 10 will follow in a few short weeks. Beyond those two, a couple of points behind, and by couple I mean 114. We've got Robert Woodward, who of course only counting 7 races, so he is at least a race behind those two, possibly more given the gap, but solidly in P3, 13 points though, narrow margin over Marcus Lang. Stefan Mellis is our current 5th place man. He's also competed at all 8 rounds so far. And then we've got Steve Webb, P6. Chris Zutis recently moved up to P7 ahead of Tobias Trochel. Then we have got Graham Matthew and Mike Bousson rounding out the top 10. Just behind them, we've got Andreas Lehnen, Jamie Bird. Only done just the 1 round so far. He is down in P12.
But he is here tonight.
He is, yeah. Jamie Bird comes back, and so do I. Javad Brown, P13, and Paul LeMay, bottom of the standings. Certainly that's not where Paul LeMay would have wanted his season to end, in the SR8 class. Moving on to our SR10s, you can see 24 on the board at the moment. We've got Simon Edwards, 118 points clear of Phil Glover. So Phil, his consistency definitely coming to the fore in the SR10 class. He's just 23 points ahead of Brazil's Bruno Vitorino. James Barry is P4. Barry, another of our heavyweight hitters coming into play tonight. Heinz Braun is P5, 36 points down on Barry. Then we've got Patricio Gomez y Silva in P6. Jorge Gonzaga is P7, 14 points down. Then we've got Mehmet Barat Akas in P8, just 4 points ahead of Christoph Lipp, who I think is also here tonight. Kevin Harwood is P10. Then in P11, we've got Fabio Regis. So that is our top 10. And we're about to go live with, I believe, qualifying?
No, gridding. They just finished qualifying.
No, they've done qualifying.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's see what the grid is here ahead of Heat 1 then.
Yeah, let's see. We'll pull the old grid up here. And there we go. We'll start that off there.
All right, so our front row is James Barry with Alexander Shushke alongside him then. So Barry certainly looking 4th place in the SR10 to make a big statement in this sprint race. Simon Edwards starts P3. Our SR10 Championship leader, of course, was Christian Shushke, P3 in the overall championship, 4th on the grid. Robert Woodward will start P5, just ahead of Bruno Vitorino. So those two in a big fight for P5 overall. Mike Busson will start P7 with Heinz Braun, the German, alongside him on row 4. Behind them, we have got Marcus Lang in P9 and Chris Zutis rounding out your top 10. Row 6 will be Jamie Bird in P11, just ahead of Robert Nobles IV. So I think he's a newcomer, Robert Nobles. Phil Glover will start P13. Joining him on row 7 will be Steve Webb. Row 8 is made up of Patricio Gomez y Silva with Sebastian Lip looking to get his mouth open ahead of this one. Then in row 9, we've got Robert Williams in P17 with Stefan Meles, the Belgian, joining him in P18.
There we go. All right.
So 18 drivers then, making up our grid ahead of our sprint race. James Barry then at the front, hoping to make a clean getaway from Alexander Shushke. You can see big gaps between the rows there. Because you can see just behind there is Simon Edwards and Christian Shushke as the lights go out. Very good launch from Alexander Shushke in the SR8 here. We expect the SR8s to be quite strong in this one. Into Hell Corner they come. And James Barry has held on to the lead from Alexander Shushke. Simon Edwards, though, under attack as all. Spinner has Jamie Bird losing it in the background. He's spun out of Hell Corner. But here comes Alexander Shushke. Looks like our two SR8s of Alexander and Christian Shushke making good launches uphill as they come towards Quarry Bend. James Barry, though, holds on to the lead for the time being. And it looks like Simon Edwards has also held on to P3 then. So the SR10's just holding on to first and third.
Yeah, there was a good clean start, though, except for whatever happened to Jamie back there. I'm not sure if he went around on his own or not, but...
Looks like Melis and Lip are also out because they don't seem to have made any progress from the starting line. So big issues for them as we see Silver, I think, also hitting trouble. As I think that was Alexander Shushke getting very close to the wall there as they came through Solomon Park and McPhillamy Park.
Yeah, which we get the exciting part of trying to determine which blue car is who. Alexander has the white stripe on the nose. His brother, Christian, has the orange stripe on the nose of his car. And then the other one in that group is Marcus Lang. He has the green stripe on his. So,
well, he's also missing the front end of his car. So Lang involved in some of the contact early doors. As you see James Barry pulling a small gap on Alexander Shushke. He's actually falling into the clutches of Simon Edwards. Edwards using the grunt of the SR10 to get alongside and into the chase. It is Simon Edwards up to second place and now setting his sights onto the back of James Barry. So Barry versus Edwards could be very, very close, but Alexander Shushke is not taking this sitting down as he comes towards the final corner, weaving around. He can't really decide which side he wants to pass Simon Edwards on coming into Murray's corner there, so he's going to have to tuck in behind and wait for a better opportunity. But all the big moves in the field so far. Oh, as we see up the inside comes Shushke again, giving Simon Edwards a very hard time as they go up Mountain Straight once again towards Quarry Bend.
Yeah, interesting that he's choosing to stay side by side with him here, but that is allowing his brother to come up in there behind him, and now they're going to try to draft with each other a little bit here. But they will be following Simon through the mountain, it looks like here.
This is playing into Barry's hands, that's for sure.
Oh, yeah,
as
for sure.
Edwards cannot quite focus on front of him because he's got the two Shushke brothers in blue in the SR8. Give him a hard time. And actually, great exit from Shushke goes around the outside through the cutting and Reed Park and Griffin's Mount to take second position. And now, all of a sudden, Christian Shushke is back in the mix as Barry again rail over the curb through Solomon and McPhillamy. As a bit of gravel being kicked up there. So somebody else, I think, has also hit trouble somewhere else on the lap then. But yeah, James Barry definitely not just going to coast to the victory here. He is absolutely pushing to build as big a gap as possible then ahead of Alexander Shushke. All the big moves in the order of top 5, exactly the same as where they lined up on the grid. It is Busson and Braun that have both gained a spot. The big losers in the field so far, Vitorino and Lang, who we saw in particular suffering heavy damage. He's fallen 12 seconds off the back of the pack. But Shushke is our top SR8, Barry our top SR10, but up the inside comes Simon Edwards again down Conrod Straight, and he repeats exactly what we saw the previous lap then. So now the SR8s will be waiting for their opportunity. It'll be Hell Corner. That should be Alexander Shushke's best opportunity, but he's going up the inside into Murray's.
Interesting choice.
He's just trying to put Simon off there, I think, a little bit by going up the inside, and he's dragging his brother Christian with him. Are they both going to go up the inside into Hell Corner? No, it's just Alexander that cuts off Simon Edwards and tries to back him into Christian. You can see in the background Robert Woodward and Mike Bousson and Heinz Braun are licking their lips at all of this because they are starting to catch this second place battle.
Yeah, I thought they were going to put it together there and get by Simon on that draft, but they did not.
Alexander has, and he's blocked him off at the top of Quarry Bend. Down towards Cutting they go, and it is still Alexander Shushke holding on to P2 then, and Christian, you can see Simon getting a bit frustrated with this because James Barry's pulled a nearly 4-second gap now as we cut to our second place SR10 man in the championship, Phil Glover, holding on to 10th at the moment. He's gained 3 spots from where he started, him and Steve Webb behind him, and he's trying to chase down Vitorino, who lost a lot of spots at the start and has actually recently passed Phil Glover for P9 then. So Vitorino now trying to catch the 5-second gap to Heinz Braun, and Chris Zutis ahead of him. Was that Phil in the gravel there? Indeed it was, at the top of McPhillamy. So Webb and Bird get past him.
Yeah, it was. He had a little off track there. Let's take a look real quick and see what happened.
Unfortunately, the moment we cut to Phil, he makes a mistake. You didn't cut away quickly enough to save Phil's blushes there. Well, certainly Steve Webb won't be complaining.
One more disservice, and we're actually going to show it again here just to see what happened to him since
too far over the curb. That destabilized his exit there.
He did a good job holding on to that, man. That could have got away from him pretty quickly there. So
Webb having to actually defend, and it looks like Phil has actually gotten past both Bird and Webb, and Simon Edwards has done the same to Alexander Shushke yet again as they come into Murray's Bend.
I think we're probably going to see a change of position every lap coming down these straightaways.
Yeah, this time Simon Edwards, though, blocking the middle of the road to back Alexander Shushke into his brother and Robert Woodward. Chris Zutis, by the way, has passed Heinz Braun for P7, but Braun coming back around the outside into Hell Corner. Vitorino's already nipping at their heels there, the Brazilian having a fantastic recovery then. But we are halfway through this race. You can see Phil Glover and Steve Webb fighting in the background then, and this should be Vitorino then using the SR10 to try and follow Heinz Braun through here as Edwards and Shushke swapping second position as they come up through the cutting there, and it's Edwards that's held onto it crucially. Can he build a big enough of a gap? This is where the SR8 is going to be slightly stronger then, so Shushke is going to be desperate to make a move before they get to Forest Elbow if he can, but it's going to be tight. There's nowhere really to make a move. Down Conrad, you would expect Simon Edwards to scarborough away.
Yeah, but we don't exactly have the information what they did to the cars as far as the balance of power on them. So, they could have taken a little bit of that top end speed away from the SR10s here to equal them out a little bit or something, which they do seem to be pretty equal because they're continually passing each other. So, with the exception of James Barry, who's just enjoying a ride through the Australian countryside here since those guys are battling so hard back there. He's just off on a free range here.
Yeah, Alexander Shushke has certainly been helping Barry out by fighting Edwards as hard as he has, but now Edwards has a small but decisive 7/8 gap. Are Alexander and Christian Shushke going to fight each other for the SR8 class lead?
Probably not.
In third place overall,
yet,
especially
anyway.
with Woodward and Bousson also in the same class. They've caught right up to the back of them, so Robert Woodward could be a big threat to the both of them here, especially to Christian, who's next in line. As we see in the background, Phil Glover and Jamie Bird, I think, has hit trouble again because he's dropped to P11 there. You can see Steve Webb just passing him before Murray's there, so I think coming through that must be through the chase that I think Jamie Bird must have made a little mistake there.
Why in the world did Chris Zutis pit?
Oh, looks like Zutis maybe hit trouble. Look at the front bumper.
Oh, yeah,
it's dragging on the floor.
Yeah.
So I think maybe him and Jeremy Bird came together there.
Yeah, maybe. Let's see if, possibly are. They may have actually had separate incidents here. Let's take a look.
It does look like Simon still keeping Shushke half a second behind as he Zootis through for his elbow. He's had problems very early on and gone straight in the wall.
Yeah, he did. And then Jamie had another separate incident just after that here.
Oh, lost the rear end coming out of the chase. And he's got a rear wheel in the gravel. He's done well, again, not to lose even more as he nearly hits Phil Glover rejoining there. And then Webb goes up the inside as well. So, bit of a difficult time. He had that spin early on, and he's just had second spin as we see Edwards, if anything, really struggling to hold back Alexander Shushke. So we don't know what the setup is of Simon Edwards' car, but it certainly looks like he is struggling to pull a gap through the mountain section, essentially.
Well, and the thing is, we always suspect that he's running a low downforce setup because that's kind of what he's known for. But he's thrown a few curves at him this year, and he's run some higher downforce setups. And he could be, just to make sure he gets through the mountain safely, since it's such an important part of this track. But you're not going to get too far away from these Schuster brothers. I'm telling you, they're pretty fast, man.
Oh, look at this. Mike Buson, having just seen Robert Woodward go past him down Conrad Straight, he's determined to fight him for that P5 as Alexander Shushke behind Simon Edwards sets the fastest lap of the race, 1:57.592. But this sort of pace has come probably a bit too late to cut that 5-second gap with only this and one more lap to go. As you see in the background, the two battles starting to intensify here, make that freeze you can see in the background. Braun and Vitorino dueling away for P7. So Vitorino, having lost, I think, 5 or 6 places off of the line, is now really starting to recover in his fight to get back up to P7 here as the two SR10s desperate to exchange positions yet again. But Heinz Braun holding off Vitorino. He's come a long way as the German in the last couple of seasons of Radical Race Series on iRacing, and he's certainly gained a lot of defensive driving skills and podiums that we've seen him rack up over the season. It's been very, very impressive as well. Does look like in the background Steve Webb and Jamie Bird fighting to get into the final top 10 spot, of course, as we see Mike Buson again closing right to the back of Robert Woodward as they've fallen nearly 3 seconds behind the Shushke brothers and Simon Edwards, of course. Well, which of them is going to take P2, of course, as we're about to start the final lap of the race. There is our second place battle then, and Simon definitely what has been closed in. He certainly seems to have got both of them covered. He's pulling to the middle of the road. He's using the defensive lines very, very well, isn't he?
He is. And I mean, he exceptionally smart driver, and he'll let you, if you're faster than him, he'll fight you, but he'll race you clean. So these guys are going to have a battle on their hands for sure to get around him. What's funny is, Simon likes this place. I know that because we talked to him last week about it. But like I said, these Schuster brothers, man, they came in a couple seasons ago, and they have just been lightning. Look, he's going to pull a move on the inside of him. He's going to get him too.
Yes, there we go then.
Simon probably wanted that, to be honest with you. I think Simon wants to get that run down the back straight.
Well, he's worried about Christian, isn't he?
Well, I think he's more wanting to take that. He's going to do it right here. I thought he'd wait and come down, pass him on the back straight, but he's going to pass him right here. Oh, no, he's not.
He's going to try to, as Alexander Shushke late on the brakes, and so too is Christian. Yeah, Simon almost stranded on the outside, so if anything, he said he wanted to let one through. He's let two through.
Yeah, that's bad.
Definitely not what Simon Edwards, not what we're used to seeing. A little bit of a door open slightly too wide there by Simon Edwards. So he's got to make a monster run through Conrad Straight to at least get back on the podium in this race there. And I think he might regret not pulling a bigger gap before that final lap there. But it was always going to be difficult against these two, wasn't it?
Yeah, no. Again, he wasn't going to get away from him, but I think, really, honestly, I think he didn't fight that first pass by Alexander because he really wanted to be behind him.
Christian getting a bit sideways here as they go through the S's and the dipper. But potentially that could stop him from protect Alexander from Simon here. But here they go, down Conrad Straight for the last time. Simon Edwards a little bit further back than he'd ideally want. Let's see what the rear wing is like on that SR10 then, is Christian also getting a bit of a tow from Alexander. Into the chase they come. Around the outside comes Simon Edwards. He's going to try and go for the 2-for-1 move into the chase. He's going to be put to the outside here. They leave him just enough room. Side by side they go. James Barry about to come to the line for insert name E-Racing team. And Barry takes a marvelous victory, but who's going to finish P2? The Shishke brothers break late into Murray's corner, and Simon Edwards finds himself sideways and slipping down to P4 at the final lap of the race. Robert Woodward beats Mike Buson to 5th, and Vitorino and Braun sideways at the final corner, and it's Braun that misses out as he goes wide into the gravel at Murray's corner. So Vitorino does take P7. Only losing one spot from where he qualified, but a brilliant recovery after a horrible first lap. There's Phil Glover, who takes P10, and that means Glover will take reverse grid pole, I believe.
It will. That's going to be exciting for Phil. It can be. Apparently, Phil likes to park over there. Maybe that's his little parking area. Who knew?
Well, it looks like Jamie Bird, not just in the race, but on the road to Bathurst, downtown Bathurst, I guess, is beating him there.
Let's see, we're waiting on a couple of guys to finish here. Zutis is just crossing the line here now. And I think
certainly
Gomez will be our last.
It did look like at the top of Forest Elbow, he had some sort of failure.
Right, let's do this. We're going to have to do these results quick because this grid is going to happen super fast.
Okay, so confirmation of the final results. It is James Barry that beats Alexander Shishke and Christian Shishke home after a great fight between them and Simon Edwards. But Simon Edwards will be kicking himself for maybe not fighting. Well, he did fight very, very hard, but he tried to play a little more tactical than he really needed to. Robert Woodward has to settle for P5, beating home Mike Buson in the battle to be third in the SR8 class. Our third SR10 home was Bruno Vitorino, beating home Heinz Braun after a dramatic final corner. Jamie Bird, after spinning twice in the race, nevertheless comes home in P9 to beat home Phil Glover, and that is our top 10 that will be reversed for race 2. In P11 was Steve Webb, just missing out to Bird and Glover. Robert Williams took P12, some seconds down. Robert Nobles the 4th took P13. Then Marcus Lang was 14th. Chris Zutis, after hitting the wall and having to take a trip to the pit lane, took P15. Sadly, not getting to the end. I think a couple laps down was Patricio Gomez y Silva. Sebastian Lip and Stefan Melis didn't really get going at all off of the starting grid. So certainly big issues for both of those drivers.
Yeah, I don't know. They chose not to start that one. I'm sure there was an obvious reason for it, but maybe they just
possibly disconnection,
or didn't have time to participate. Just came in and got some practice in with the guys before they couldn't participate or something. But we got a few guys out on track now during this little warm-up session. This is we'll give guys like, well, all of them, I guess technically, but the guys like Simon and James Barry and whatever, we'll give them a chance to change their setups a little bit if they if they want to tune the cars up a little bit. Obviously Barry may want to look at maybe doing something a little different because he's going to be starting back in 10th place now, so he may want to potentially add some downforce to try to work through the mountain better, or maybe take away some downforce and try to be faster on the straights to make up spots.
It's always a compromise, isn't it?
Yeah,
as we see warm-up ending.
Here we go. Let's get this grid going.
So then, our reverse grid for the feature, it is Phil Glover that starts on reverse grid pole with Jamie Bird alongside him. So SR10 leads SR8. Then it is Heinz Braun that will start P3 with Bruno Vitorino joining him on an all SR10 row 2. Row 3 will be all SR8. Mike Buson ahead of Robert Woodward, who of course beat him in our first encounter of the night. Simon Edwards and Christian Shishke will start 7th and 8th on row 4 as the lights about to go out there just ahead of Alexander and James Barry, of course, as the field roars into life, and a great getaway for Jamie Bird trying to go around the outside of Phil Glover into Hell's Corner, and they collide. Phil Glover and Jamie Bird, they didn't leave enough room for each other, and that's allowed Mike Buson into the lead as Stefan Melis goes straight up in the escape road. So Melis in all sorts of issues behind everybody. But nonetheless, Simon Edwards already up to P3 as he goes through the middle of Heinz Braun and Bruno Vitorino. And Edwards is already going for the lead here with Mike Buson as they come uphill. So chaotic first couple of corners, and in fact Braun actually gets the better run up the inside then. So Simon Edwards has to settle for third, and as they go into the cutting. So it is Buson leading Braun, Edwards, Vitorino, Christian Schuschke, Alexander Schuschke, Robert Woodward, James Barry, Steve Webb, and Chris Zutis, your top 10.
Zutis is up 5 spots already. Mike Buson and Simon Edwards are up 4, and the Schuschke brothers are both up 3. This
going to be very fascinating to hear what Phil Glover has to say about that first corner with
well,
Jamie
we're going
Bird.
to take a look back at that in a minute when everything settles out here just a little bit. Not that
Anyway.
it did really settle in the first race. We were swapping spots every lap pretty much. So
I think Edwards fancies another run at Braun, but they've got Vitorino in another SR10 not far behind, making a much cleaner start than race 1. And then we've got Schuschke, the 2 Schuschkes in reverse order. Christian ahead of Alexander this time. As you can see, orange stripe right behind Vitorino's jet black SR10 there. And behind the 2 Schuschke brothers, you can see Woodward and Barry fighting over P7, and Barry actually coming through already ahead of Robert Woodward. But look there, Edwards going past Heinz Braun as well into the chase as Barry fancies another run as Simon Edwards dropping down. Simon Edwards has spun, I think, coming into the chase, and this is all allowing Mike Buson to escape up the road. So more bad luck for our SR10 championship leader. Schuschke gets pushed out a little bit wide there by Bruno Vitorino, then to Christian stuck behind, and James Barry looking to capitalize as here we go up the inside comes Christian Schuschke for third position there.
yeah, this is it was interesting there. Alexander kind of threw a block on Barry back there, and we'll see how that works out. But here they come, like a mad hornets coming up the mountain here.
Only a 2-second gap to Mike Buson, so Christian Schuschke can clear Heinz Braun quickly, which he's not able to do as they go up into Quarry Bend. And now Christian Schuschke has to block off Vitorino from counter-attacking. Look who snuck up ahead of Alexander Schuschke. It is James Barry now waiting in the wings, hoping to make it 2 wins in a row. It is a longer feature race. We're on lap 2 of 12 here. Where is Simon Edwards? Down in P13 at the moment, behind Gomez E. Silva at the moment.
So let's see what happened to Simon here real quick.
So here we go. He's going around the outside Heinz Braun and gets tapped into a spin through the chase.
Yeah, that's tough. That's not good.
Whoa. And somebody else has to avoid him there. Was that Robert Nobles?
All right, now let's see what happened at the beginning of the race real quick.
Here we go. So Bird around the outside cuts into Phil Glover.
All right, I want to see that from another angle real quick. I want to see that from the chopper.
I think Phil got a little caught out there. That was a very tight line from Jamie, and I don't think Phil could have reacted in time there.
I mean, yeah, Phil came off the apex of that corner a little bit, but I still feel like Jamie slightly turned across his nose. I don't want to say. Well, it's tough to say, but
yeah, I would sort of say racing incident, really.
Yeah, no, clearly. I mean, it clearly is a racing incident, but
and it's cost both of them dearly. Either way, as we see James Barry clearing Schuschke and crucially Vitorino as well to get up to P3 then. So Barry making great progress, but this is where Schuschke's got to capitalize into Hell Corner, and you can see Alexander doing the same, nearly a replay of lap 1 there between those two, but they just about avoid each other, leave enough space. Christian Schuschke though ahead of James Barry, despite Barry setting the fastest lap of the race. All meanwhile, Mike Buson still 2 seconds ahead of Heinz Braun, so nobody ever really escaped from the pack there, but Barry again up the inside of Christian Schuschke, and a mistake from Heinz Braun into Quarry Bend, and that's 2 and 1 for James Barry. They almost gifted him second place there.
Yeah, well, I'm telling you, he puts himself in the right spots there for stuff like that, though. He's very intimidating if he's behind you.
It's that bumblebee livery, isn't it?
Nah, it's more his driving reputation. That dude's fast, man.
Certainly, it's difficult not to spot James Barry coming up behind you the way he drives, as you say.
Well, he just, I mean, when I came into this around radicals and stuff, man, as you see him going through the mountain here, when your car's on the limit going around this place, this place it's so fun to drive, but it is so tough. It really is.
Yeah. The Dipper certainly has a fearsome reputation, and it's well earned. You've seen James Barry so precise, no panicky movements at the steering wheel. He has done this many times before. He knows Braun in another SR10 could get a decent slipstream here, so he's got to be on his toes. Simon Edwards, meanwhile, passes Robert Nobles to get back into P11. So he's picked off Gomez E. Silva and Phil Glover already as we see moves going on further ahead. I think Christian Schuschke, Vitorino, Alexander Schuschke, and Robert Woodward all swapping positions there in the battle for P4. So the SR8's desperate to try and hold their ground here. Here comes Alexander Schuschke up the inside of Vitorino into Murray's corner. Can he pull that one off? Oh, a little bit of sideways action for Vitorino as the move is not quite finished yet.
That's gonna hurt
into
him.
turn one. And here comes Robert Woodward as well, looking once more to pick up the pieces as Vitorino loses out the track position as Woodward decides to go a little too wide on the exit of a hell corner and finds himself in a hell of a lot of trouble.
That's a good one. I like that one, actually.
Yeah,
I'll tell you what, I think Heinz Braun's fixing to have his hands full here at Christian Schuster really, really soon.
I think the good thing is he's still just about able to keep Barry in sight at the moment, and that's giving him a crucial amount of slipstream that's keeping his compatriot at bay. It's 3 Germans fighting for P3 and 2 Brits fighting for P1 at the moment. And Mike Buson has actually set the fastest lap as we see. Oh, that was very, very aggressive coming uphill. Oh dear. So Heinz Braun, and as you say, under real pressure through Griffin's Mount, Reed Park, Sulman Park, and now McPhillamy Park.
This is exactly what I figured was fixing to happen. I knew these Schuster brothers were going to get all over Heinz
They're doing
Braun
exactly
here.
what they did to Simon Edwards in race 1, aren't they?
Yeah, and that's going to allow Barry to stretch his legs out here and potentially, which he's already knocked a second off of the gap to Mike Buson. It was 3.6 seconds a lap ago, and now it's
True. Barry was a tenth slower the previous lap, though. As we see, there we go, side by side come Schuschke and Braun, as it looks like Christian Schuschke looking to snatch back that P3 as Heinz Braun still alongside and only just getting ahead now as they come towards the chase, and it looks like he's trying to drag again Alexander Schuschke with him. So the two brothers in reverse orders. Oh, Braun makes another mistake through the chase, and that's going to lose him a load of positions as he tries to avoid getting a corner cut penalty. Woodward is going to just filter through behind Vitorino. My goodness, then. Now we've got two very fired up SR10s at the back of the pack with two SR8s, the two brothers at the head of this train here in P3.
Yeah.
Oh, and there we go, Woodward and Vitorino squabbling over P5 into Hell Corner. And Woodward ahead. So now it's 3 SR8s in a row. And now will there be that temptation for Christian Alexander Schuschke to fight for the second place in the SR8 class here?
I don't think they'll fight. I think they're smarter than that. They're gonna try to run together here and catch James again.
Oh, with James Barry a second. He set the fastest lap of the race, 1:58.1, a second quicker than Mike Buson. So now he's unleashed. Buson could find himself really having to drive an absolutely electric second half of this race.
They battled the second race of last week the same way. Buson and Barry were the two in the feature race last week at Circuit of Americas.
Goodness, Barry and Buson. It's almost like the B movie all over again.
Yes, it's just some good B-roll footage. There you go. That's all.
Barry
I had
B.
for you
Buson. I think that was Jerry Seinfeld's character in that movie. It was called Barry B. Benson. Barry B. Buson. I think is my take on that with the Bumblebee car, James Barry. Anyway, but Alexander Schuschke there. Now in P3, it looks like Christian Schuschke has lost out to Woodward and Vitorino while I was rambling there. But he's dropped about 2 seconds behind the pack there. So that definitely wasn't part of the plan. Christian Schuschke was ahead, so I wondered him and Alexander's maybe been a misunderstanding there. But here comes Christian trying to regain places here. He passes Bruno Vitorino, or at least gets alongside into the chase. And it's going to be Vitorino that's got the inside here, forces him blowing around. You can see Heinz Braun coming back into the picture as well.
You know, to be honest, I'm trying to think. I don't actually recall seeing those two brothers battle where that was going to hurt their position in the race. Now, if they were 1-2 or something like that, and they may fight a little bit, you know, but not to the point of, oh, he's going to make a little slipstream up going up into Hell's Corner.
That's
here.
Bold, around the outside. Vitorino leaves enough space.
Oh, he did.
And touches him.
He did touch, but no harm,
It's
no
safe
foul. That's
from
all
Bruno. And he comes in right behind Heinz Braun then, so he'll get a nice toe back up the mountain straight then. Look in the background as well. Marcus Lang finds his mirrors absolutely full of a recovering Simon Edwards.
He's coming.
So Simon, again, trying to go around the outside of the SRA into quarry. My goodness. So Simon taking no prisoners today in his recovery drive. He's not that far away from that sort of a third place fight, essentially. So he could well stay in the mix here. Still 6 more laps to go as we see Barry now within a second of Mike Buson here. So this is where Buson will need to hold him up as long as he can.
He's in the slipstream area now, too. He going down the straightaway, he should be able to get a little bit of toe off of Buson now.
Yeah, Buson, though, has got to maximize the part of the circuit where he's a little bit stronger. In particular, I think the SR8 just looks a little more nimble through the mountain section, but it's only marginal here as Buson then gets on the accelerator pedal down Conrad Straight. And, lovely bit of track. This is where you can really...
gap.
He's gained a couple of attempts. He's halved that gap already.
Half a second. Yeah, no, he's gonna catch him right here.
Yep. Buson's a sitting duck. Here we go into the chase. Is Buson going to fight? No, he doesn't. And James Barry takes the lead. He's looking to make it 2 in a row.
Oh, my gosh. That was that draft right there was absolutely insane.
Yeah, the kind of ruthless efficiency we come to expect from James Barry then. So, having stayed out of trouble, made up places quickly from 10th on the grid, he is looking to make it 2 in a row. You can see in the background Shushke holding off Robert Woodward in the fight for P3, which of course is P2 in the SR8 class. Buson, though, will be desperate to keep with Barry, at least take a SR8 class win out of this one.
Yeah, James is... These two, though, we had this battle last week too. Mike Buson actually won the feature race, and James Barry was second to him. But it was fun.
The problem is that Barry's got the track position now, so it's difficult to see because Mike didn't make the move going into turn 1 there. I wasn't quite able to, as we see actually James getting a little bit wide coming out of Griffin's Mount there. So this gives a small opportunity then to Mike Buson. Is he going to fancy a risky move into the dipper here?
Yeah, Mike Buson's never been scared of a risky move, that's for sure.
Yeah, it's both of them really pushing over the curb. And Buson now in the reverse position. He's not being hunted, he is hunting down James Barry again, but surely coming down to the Conrad Straight, this is where it could get a little tricky, but he will get a little bit of a toes. We see Heinz Braun getting a good warning and having to let Simon Edwards through into 7th position. So you saw there Barry through Forest Elbow so early on the throttle that he was brushing the wall on exit there, and you can see him pulling a few more tenths away. He's nearly a second ahead now of Mike Buson there.
I did not expect that on the straightaway. I thought the toe would be enough to keep Buson with him, but it wasn't.
There we go. So Buson really now is going to have to find something extraordinary to steal this win back off of Barry. And in fact, Alexander Shushke has been lapping about 3 tenths quicker per lap than Mike Buson. So the battle for P2 may not be over yet either with 4 laps to go. There's Vitorino, who's just seen Simon Edwards pick him up. So Edwards has gone from 13th to 6th now.
Yes. Yep. He's actually up a spot in the race finally now.
Whoa! And who is that that's lost it at the final corner? Marcus Lang, I think. He's missing the front end of his car for the second race in succession and is now stuck in the tyre barrier there as he tries to enter the pit lane. But it looks like he's had more issues and has had to pit for repairs.
Yeah, well, this place will certainly bite you. And the funny thing is, it'll bite you in the parts that don't even appear to be tough. That's the thing, you know?
Yeah, just a minor loss of concentration. You can find yourself in a load of trouble there as we see Edwards continuing to fend off Vitorino and Braun. 5 seconds to Christian Shushke and Robert Woodward up ahead. So Edwards has got to really hot lap here if he wants to fight for the podium, which he's indeed very capable of doing. So you can see them all risking it with the wall there. Could do some real damage at that speed if they misjudge it and lose the back end of the car. Mike Buson, surprisingly, has found some time back. He's within about half a second again of Barry, but is that just through the mountain section? Will Barry again pull away down the Conrad Straight?
I am definitely curious to see if he does pull away again. That would
Barry
be
a little closer, as we said, but yet again, it looks like Barry's really gone for the straight line speed here.
Yeah, he's walking away from him again.
And the problem now is even if Barry is somehow able to regain track position, if Buson is able to regain track position, will Barry just breeze past him down the Comrade on the final lap?
I mean, that was also the same plan that Simon Edwards was trying to execute last race, but it didn't work out.
As we see Marcus Lang exiting the pit lane in 16th and last position behind Bird and Glover, who, surprisingly enough, were about 9 laps ago, 2 pole sitters on the front row before they came to blows.
I also saw in the virtual grandstand there, Stefan Mella said that he had VR and computer issues.
Which is why he went straight on at turn 1.
So, yeah, and then he said it was too bad because he was for sure he was going to win this one. So...
Well, I mean, every driver, if the amount of drivers that said for sure they could have won this season,
right,
but didn't, is a very long list. So I think Stefan Mellis has got
yes.
quite a lot of company. But yes, certainly you've got to feel for him. It's always great to see drivers that do race in VR, giving it a go. As we see Shushke in 5th position. He's set the fastest lap, 157.7. But
he's
looking
twitching
a little wonky.
around. Yeah, he's twitching around on this lap. This one won't be the fastest for sure.
Is the steering a little bent, maybe? Is he brushed the wall somewhere?
I think so, maybe. Let's take a look. We'll look on board. We'll ride with it.
I think maybe he's just pushing it. You're right.
I think he's pushing, yeah.
So definitely
steering's good.
Keen to catch up to Robert Woodward here. So Woodward, of course, fallen to about a second and a half behind Alexander Shushke. So the gap pretty equidistant between them.
Yeah, he's pushing.
Lock up into the dipper. As the rear just absolutely hanging out. Fantastic sideways attacking driving from Christian Shushke. So Robert Woodward may not be settled into 4th position just yet because Christian Shushke is coming for that SR8 podium as we see Phil Glover being lapped.
Yeah, no,
by
that
the leaders.
was more than lapped. I think he's limping.
He's certainly not risking it.
No, I think
he doesn't want to get involved with any battles with the leaders whatsoever. Alexander Shushke still catching Mike Buson, who's despite Buson's second personal best laps of the race, so 3/10, but the gap 2.5 seconds with just 2 more laps to go after this one, I think.
Yeah, the question now is can Alexander catch Mike, and give him a battle? Because I think we've seen that Mike.
It would require a mistake from Buson, I believe, for that to happen.
You would think so, but I'm telling you, those Shushke brothers, they can do they're fast, man. Those guys blew me away when they came in here. I mean, you just don't come in here and start, bumping Simon Edwards and James Barry around, I mean, that's some big names to just come in and be that competitive with them right off the bat like that.
So all the leaders in the 158s, the only other driver that's in the 158s at the moment is Jamie Bird, who's right behind Robert Williams, fighting for P13 at the moment.
Right.
So that is obviously much further down the pack. But Jamie Bird might still be just trying to get something out of this one, which is good to see him and Phil Glover haven't immediately, they certainly haven't given up after their difficult start to the race. And there's no reason to do so.
I'll tell you what, it wouldn't be surprised at all to see James Barry set a fastest lap here. Just because the fuel load's lightening in these cars, and it's getting a little lighter and a little quicker.
Well, he's got to steal it from Christian Shushke, who beat him by 2/10 a few laps ago.
Oh, he sure did, didn't he?
So, certainly. Well, as you say, again brushing the wall at Forest Elbow.
I think that was something on the side of the road. I don't think he actually caught the wall there.
It might have been a visual glitch.
A little debris or something, some dust there. I was actually watching pretty close on that one. I don't think that was the wall. It may have been, but I don't think so.
It certainly hasn't hurt his exit, because he continues to pull the gap to Mike Buson. Nearly 2 seconds now, and you can see Buson only a second and a half ahead of Alexander Shushke. So Alex Shushke's got his head down. He lapped 3/10 quicker the previous lap, and I think he might have gained a second on him in this last lap then.
Yeah, I don't think this is going to be a best lap.
Buson kicking up a bit of grass there on the exit of Murray's. There we go, 1:59.0. So Shushke gains a whole second, and is the fastest man of our top 3.
Right. Yeah, I actually don't. That was not the best lap from Barry. I really was expecting Barry to maybe just throw down a big fast one here, but at this point, be careful. He's got this race won. So 2 laps to go. Just take it easy. I mean, not take it easy, but you don't need to push that hard. See, that's not the wall he's hitting there. That's some dust on the side of the road there.
Yeah, it certainly looks dramatic, though.
Oh, it does look great. Yeah, actually, it does look very dramatic. I tell you what, this is the battle. This is the battle right here.
Yeah, Shushke has absolutely excelled, flown away from Robert Woodward to the tune of nearly 3 seconds now. And he is really giving Mike Buson a hard time. There you can see Christian Shushke just starting to catch Woodward, but his charge may have come slightly too late. But Shushke's going to have a whole... No, he's going to have a whole other lap, I think, to try and snick that P2 off of Buson here. And he's looking very, very calm and relaxed, whereas Buson is looking a little bit flustered and concerned, I think, to put it mildly here, because his P2 is distinctly under threat.
Yeah, he's definitely under threat, and he's certainly not oblivious to the fact that the difference in lap times over the past couple of laps. And he's gaining on him down the straightaway, too. He's in that toe. He's coming right here. I don't know if he'll get him on this one, but he might. I think he will, actually.
Okay, well, here we go into the chase for the penultimate time. Alexander Shushke pulls to the outside, finds the way blocked by Mike Buson then. And here we go into Murray's. Mike Buson goes to the racing line. Shushke dives up the inside and then finds the way blocked as James Barry begins the final lap, and Shushke goes sideways then. White flag being shown to all the drivers then. So one more lap of racing action. You can see in the background, Shushke nearly within a second, is within a second now of Robert Woodward. So we've got a battle for P2 and for P4 then between our top 4 SR8s then. So it could be anyone's guess who wins the SR8 class here.
Yeah, I'm not too sure what that right there might have hurt Shushke on running down Buson. I think he's going to get to him again, but he's missed a couple of opportunities to make that pass happen.
Well, he needs to nail the mountain here if he wants to get the run down Conrad then. And Mike Buson...
I think he's going to get the same shot he just got. I think he can potentially get close enough to get that run again coming down.
But problem now is Buson's going to see it coming.
Sure,
and
of course.
He's going to react or anticipate it as he takes a very late turn in through Solomon and McPhillamy there.
Well,
I thought they was heading for the wall.
What's funny is Mike runs some different lines than a lot of people. We were talking about that last week at COTA, actually, how he was running a different line, but he's fast. You can't knock him for sure. He is definitely quick. I don't know.
Conventional approach may be enough to get
happen.
P2. Yeah, it looks like Alexander Shushke might be slightly too far back. I don't think he's quite nailed this last lap.
I think that twitch probably heated him tires up a little bit too, because that was a pretty nasty twitch.
Oh, looks like Jamie Bird going up to 12th in the background as well, past Robert Nobles.
Here he comes.
As he tries to catch Gomez, but here comes Shushke. It's going to have to be a risky move. Buson is not really worried by it at all. And he's only got one more corner to go to hold on. But here comes James Barry then. Flawless in race 1. Flawless in race 2. He takes 2 in a row to be the master of the mountain. And it's going to be Buson that just holds on to P2 by 0.2 of a second from Alexander Shushke, with Woodward coming home in 4th ahead of Christian Shushke. And then Simon Edwards recovering from 13th to 6th. So a good damage limitation drive from our championship leader,
yes,
or SR10
indeed.
championship leader. But here comes Bird coming up the inside of Patricio Gomez y Silva. Then side by side they go. And it is the SR8 that's going to struggle to match the grunt of the SR10. But can Jamie Bird hold on to this one? No, he can't. So he tucks in for a little more slipstream. It's going to be very, very close between these two in the battle for P11. Look at that. Gomez y Silva in the green tyres and green livery, keeping back Jamie Bird in the JPB car. And there's one more corner to go. Bird dives up the inside. Is he going to go too deep? He just about makes the corner and nicks 11th position at the final time of asking there. So Jamie Bird, he did start in the front row. He spun to the very back of the field. He finishes just outside the top 10. So that shows never give up, because there's always a chance to gain some positions as Bird ends the second race in exactly the same way he ended the first, by spinning into the wall.
Yep,
He started it pretty similarly as well.
Put it in his parking spot there. All right, let's see if we got some results yet here. Yeah, we do. All right, let's see. So let's take a look at our results from the feature race here.
Confirmation then, it is James Barry that wins. Does not take fastest lap this time. That goes to Christian Schuschke. But nonetheless, 3.7 seconds ahead of Mike Buisson, despite starting 10th on the grid. That was a monster of a drive from Barry. Buisson defended about as well as he could have, kept Alexander Schuschke just at bay, but Schuschke himself recovering 6 spots to P3. So our overall championship leader extends his advantage in the end. Robert Woodward, a very quietly impressive drive from Woodward, it must be said, P4 to beat Christian Schuschke.
Indeed,
who
yes.
set the fastest lap. Simon Edwards, again, a bit of bad luck. He did set his personal best lap right at the end, 158.1, so he was pushing all the way through with Simon. But a day of bad luck, really, for Simon. It was a 4th and 6th in the end. Not quite the podiums he would have been hoping for. Bruno Vitorino has to settle for P7 after fighting away with Edwards and Braun for most of the race. Braun finishing in P8 behind him. Chris Zoutis, we didn't talk about him too much, but he got a much better finish in race 2. P9 ahead of Steve Webb, who rounds out the top 10. Jamie Bird, last, 18th and last at the first corner. Well, 17th, I think it would. No, it would be 16th because Mellis and Lip didn't start. So he was 16th and last, does gain several spots to get back up to P11, including that last corner move on Patricio Gomez E. Silva, who himself had a clean race. Robert Nobles takes P13 ahead of Robert Williams. Marcus Lang, issues for him. He finishes P15 and a lap down on Phil Glover as well. It's a case really of what could have been from reverse grid pole as Phil and Jamie coming together. Sadly, Stefan Meller's VR issues ruled him out from starting, and Sebastian Lip never got going in either race either. So big shame for the German and the Belgian, respectively.
Indeed,
nonetheless, nobody be grinning more wider from ear to ear than James Barry. So who shall we talk to first? Shall we drag in maybe Mr. Mike Buisson, maybe?
Yeah, we can.
So... Oh, sorry, Mike, to drag you in mid-sentence, but we're going to begin the interviews with Mr. Mike Buisson. Very good driving, Mike. That was P2 in the end. It looked a bit scary at the end of the feature race there, but a much better result than the sprint.
Yeah, I put a little bit of effort into it, I won't lie. I'm, again, running maximum downforce, so I just couldn't make any inroads on the first race. You know, I'd obviously felt a lot faster along the top of the mountain, but it didn't really help me because it just, if I did make a move, they just come back at me. Second race, got a little bit lucky, obviously, with the bit of chaos, and because I was running high downforce, I managed to obviously build a bit of a gap until James came on strong charge. But same as last week, I needed a low downforce or an SR10 in front of me just to pull me along a little bit to keep me out the way of Alex today.
So you're saying James actually helped you more than hindered you?
Yeah.
Once he got past.
No, it was no point, and he was more help to me than anything else. So it was let him go. Not that I could really fight it, to be fair, and just try and stay with him as long as possible. But towards the last couple of laps were really slippery.
It's kind of an inverse of Kota a week ago, isn't it? Where you and Barry fought for the win, and this time James comes out on top. But you nonetheless, as you say, limited the damage against Alex. It really felt like when he started the final lap and got sideways, you sort of almost breathed a sigh of relief because you were looking a little bit nervous up to that point.
Oh, yeah. I was thinking myself, how do I play this? Do I fight it? Do I, I'm just putting off the inevitable, but... You know, I assumed really we're both getting a little bit slippery. My last 3 laps were terrible. And I think once he had that sort of half, a bit of a slide, he was probably having the same problems as I was after that. So, and with my downforce, I could just keep my foot down over the top of the mountain and just keep enough of a gap.
Yeah, and indeed you did then. So... Jim, any questions for Mike before we let him go?
No, not really. Another good run. Well played. You used a strategy that worked best to give you the best position as you did last week as well. Good stuff, man. Just let's see. Do you have anybody you're gonna shout out to this week? You got something prepared for us?
I've got something prepared for you.
That's what I'm talking about.
I've got to give it to James. 2 weeks in a row. He's helped me along. He's a very giving person. I think
he is a giving person, isn't he?
Yeah. I appreciate it. He's got his spot in heaven now.
I'm not sure you have the authority to do that. But
I'll have you know, I know a lot of people.
He's running
St. Peter is a friend of yours, clearly.
He's running the 666 number, and he's giving out spots in heaven. How you like that?
Mike Lucifer Buson.
That's right.
This is it, whoa, hold on. I'm not in league with Epstein or anyone like that, calm down.
That's the triple. Well, obviously Lucifer's a fallen angel. So,
we may have met once in a while.
You're more of a fallen angel, that's right.
That's it. I'm not in the files. We're all right.
Yeah, that's right.
We're all right.
All right, buddy. Well, we'll see you next week. Last race of the season. I think we're at Monza, right? Yeah.
So that'd be fun, won't it?
Yeah, well, I think so.
Another slipstreamer, no doubt.
Yeah.
But
That's
anyway,
gonna be fun. Yeah.
thanks for talking to us, Mike, and well done on P2 in the feature.
Pleasure as ever. Catch you soon.
There we go. Mike Buson. Just for the avoidance of doubt, definitely not in the Epstein files.
Right, yes. In case you wondered.
Yeah, so shall we have our man who finished P10 in the sprint, got reverse grid pole for the feature, and then had a bit of a dramatic start. Shall we talk to Mr. Phil Glover
Sure.
next? So then, Phil Glover joins us now. Phil, always lovely to hear from you. A very strong sprint race drive to P10 and the reverse grid pole that comes with it, Phil. But unfortunately, it all seemed to go very, very wrong at the start with Jamie making a move around the outside there. So talk us through it from your point of view. Obviously, a very, very exciting sprint race, and then a very only exciting at the very, very start feature for you, I guess.
I think we were both a bit silly there, actually, to be honest. I don't know I'm usually the first one to put my hand up and say it was probably my fault. I don't know whether it was. But between us, we should have given each other a lot more space. We're going to be, up into the mountain bit pretty much first and second, weren't we? I would imagine. So it was a bit stupid between us to do what we did. If it's my fault, then I'll put my hand up and say I'm even stupider than Jamie.
Certainly weren't the only two to touch at that first corner, though. Certainly there are a lot of SR8s that were desperate to get past the SR10s while the going was good before they got to the straight, essentially.
Yeah. I really like this track. I mean, I like the jeopardy of it. It caught me out, didn't it? Later on, I think I hit a coming down into.
That will probably be why you got slowed down a lap, didn't you? Yeah.
You had that little off track too, where you took a little ride through the sand.
Any thoughts on the first race, by the way?
First race wasn't too bad for me, was it? I think, well, obviously I finished 10th. It was first on the grid. So
good fight with Jamie and Steve.
Yeah, it was good fun. I mean, poor Steve was having a bit of trouble down the straight, so it was just a case of trying to break the toe with him. But obviously the SR8s are so much better in braking and cornering. You've got to get quite a good lead down the straight to make it work. But in the end,
Steve's always a fun guy to race with.
Like driving a rocket, isn't it? Just wait for the straight to try and breeze past, and then try to hang on through the mountain, essentially in the SR10s, which I'm sure is probably what you would prefer of the two, I guess.
Yeah, we had a bit of fun, Jamie and I, and Steve. So makes it all fun, doesn't it? Good. How many was on the grid again? Was about 17,
well, we had 18, but
16
Mellis,
starters, but
Mellis had some trouble.
Yes, I think Stefan only did like the one corner, but his VR failed. So,
right, yeah. So we're holding the numbers, aren't we? Which is good throughout the season. I'm really pleased with that. So we've got Imola next week.
No, it's
Monza.
Monza.
Oh, Monza. Sorry, Monza. Yeah,
the other Italian circuit.
Same country.
Yeah. So that'll be interesting because we've got a bit of strategy there. We've got pit stop to do, haven't we?
Yeah, that's going to be a single race,
wouldn't know about that.
hour long. Yeah.
Jim, do you have any questions for Phil before we let him
No,
go?
not really. Just always good to talk to Phil, and it didn't.
I'm going to take that as a no.
Well, I just didn't. It didn't go
But
the way
anyway,
I
Phil,
wanted today.
as we see a replay of you going over the grass,
yeah, there it is.
coming into, I think this is where you hit the wall, isn't it? Oh, as you said,
we
through
did.
Skyline just before the dipper, and yeah, the front end looking a little bit mangled as a result of that. Lucky that it was that Robert Nobles that just avoided you there, I think. No, it's
Yeah.
But anyway,
So, I think it's probably going to end up being one of my drop weeks. Maybe, I don't know, because I got a 10th and first one. I suspect it might be anyway. I think we have 2 drop weeks. Season, yeah. So.
Actually, this might be your drop week.
Well, of course, you'll have to figure out which one, which will be your first drop round. I guess in the next week or so before the final round, before you can sort of get an accurate picture of what the standings look like.
Let's see what next week turns out to be like.
But hey,
anyway, best of luck in your quest for P2 in the SR10 standings, Phil.
You're going to have a good finish.
Obviously, it's always lovely to talk to you, and it's great to see you your consistency finally sort of paying off. And may the final race go well as well.
I don't know do you know, Jim, whereabouts I am in the championship?
You're second in your class right now.
Jim, if you're talking, we can't hear you. So
no,
he can still control the broadcast, which is the main thing.
I think Phil can hear me, right?
Mr.
You can hear
Cunningham,
me, right?
Yeah,
Phil?
I can hear
his voice.
Yeah,
you can hear him. Okay.
Hear him. Yeah.
All right. It's a me
just
issue.
asked him what position I was in the championship, and he said
you're second, Phil, and right now in class, second in class. But James is obviously coming pretty hard there. He's winning a lot right now. But you know what? If you can finish in the top 3, that would just be fantastic, considering the podium finish. That'd be great.
Yeah, I'd be happy with that.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'll let you interview other people.
All right,
great to speak to you both as always.
Always
Cheers.
good to talk to you.
I apologize for that, Jim. For some reason, you died on my end. And
can you hear me now, though?
I can, because I've rejoined.
Yep.
But for some reason, it just died on my end. I can only hear
let's
Phil.
pull James in before we keep him waiting too long.
Yeah, good idea. All right, we're now joined by winner in the sprint race, winner in the feature. It is no one other than Mr. James Barry. Sorry for keeping you waiting, James, but you certainly have a habit of finishing races earlier than anybody else here at Bathurst. Fantastic performance from, I believe it was pole position.
Of course.
It was, of course.
It
was a while ago, so I was trying to remember, but it wasn't hard to guess. But it really felt like you made all the right moves. You set up the SR10 beautifully. In the sprint, you just sprinted away and waited for the Shushke brothers and Simon to just fight each other over P2. And then in the feature, it all kicked off ahead of you. You were, I think, P3 by the first couple of corners. Was it P5 or 4 by the end of the first lap? And you just picked them off one by one. And in the end, got past Busan fairly comfortably. And it was the rerun of the first race in the end.
Yeah, it's been really fun in these feature races. I mean, the car makes it a bit of a pleasure because I've got so much top end compared to the SR8s. Like through the traction zones, they were keeping up, but then at the end of the straight, you could see the closing speeds again, I'm sure, going into the chase. And just running the setup in a place where I'm able to run quite low downforce, but still have a lot of confidence and go flat out for most of the mountain section. So just really enjoyable to drive and make these moves, and obviously just try and do them in a controlled way, but obviously be opportunistic, get to the front as quickly as possible, and a bit of luck. Shame to see what happened to Simon in particular, because he's the other SR10 that can really give me problems, but he got wiped out of the race early on, so that was a shame. But other than that, a lot of fun to drive.
So I think there was contact between him and Braun into the chase on the end of the first lap there. But anyway, Phil, you have a question, so
I'm Jim. Actually, Phil's the other. Phil's the other.
Damn it. I'm getting mixed up again.
So James, I'm gonna ask you the same question I asked you last week. Did you make any changes to your setup from the first race to the second race, knowing that you'd be starting in 10th as opposed to starting on the pole? Did you change your setup in any way there?
No, because I was already running quite low downforce. Any lower, and it starts giving problems that you don't want to have in the mountain section, like losing the rear end.
Sure.
In places that you don't want to lose it. So Same setup, but obviously still had really good speed. I did hit the wall there on like lap 3. After I got into second place, I did get a bit of front end damage, so I lost a bit of top end speed.
Well, it
but
sure
no,
didn't
apart from
show
that-
itself because the way you closed on Busan down that straightaway, you made up over a second. I mean, you absolutely were a rocket down those straightaways, which, is not surprising. I figured you were running a lower downforce setup, but man, another great run for you, and you're certainly closing that gap in the championship. It's going to be fun to see where all this shakes out by the end of next week. And speaking of next week, we got an hour. I think it's an hour race at Monza next week. I'm sure you probably love getting around Monza.
Well, it's the combined version, I believe.
Yes,
of the
that's
oval.
correct.
So
That's right.
Oh,
I've never really raced that, so I have to. And also the setup's going to be weird because we're going to have to maximize top speed like completely. So it's going to be interesting. And I'm going to go and have to work out the permutations for the championship, just see what my points are so far, because I don't have any drop weeks. I've missed 2 races and I
Right.
quit out of 1 race after I crashed. So gonna have to see where we stand.
yeah, I think the old James Garner Grand Prix movie, the climax of that movie takes place on the combined Monza circuit,
It does
which has the
indeed.
banking.
That's right.
Yeah, so if you want to do a little bit of practice, you can just watch that movie. I guess.
Actually, if you've never seen that movie, it was shot in the 60s, and it is still
John Frankenheimer, yeah.
Cinematography-wise, it's one of the best racing movies ever filmed. But anyway, that's another story. But hey, congratulations again, buddy. It's good to see you, back in the series regularly, and I know you enjoy getting to play around with these open setups, since you mostly do all the fixed stuff for your official stuff and everything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a lot of fun. So yeah, thanks for the passion you guys put into the broadcast. It's always really great, and
Oh, no
it's
worries,
great fun.
James.
Yep, love it. All right, buddy. We'll see you next week
cheers,
in
guys.
Monza. Yep.
Yeah, see you. Hopefully it's a good one. See you later.
All right, there we go then. So I think that concludes all of our interviews. It's a very satisfied sounding James Barry collects his 2 trophies, and him and Phil Glover and Bruno Vitorino in a very, very close fight for second in the SR10 standings. But of course, SR8s, it's still very much Alexander Shushke that we expect to be on top, with Christian Shushke a good 43 points behind before drop scores applied, of course. So, yeah, we'll have to see how it all shakes out, Jim. But, yeah, that's our penultimate race of the season completed then. And certainly a lot of drama here at Bathurst. What are your closing thoughts?
No, I mean, I think that's a pretty typical Bathurst race. You're gonna get some drama, obviously, and not as much drama through the mountain as we would have maybe thought we were going to have.
They're playing it a bit more safe,
Yeah,
apart from
they
Phil
seemed to-
in that
yeah.
feature.
Well, even Phil's, though. I mean, again, that wasn't.
His drama sort of happened earlier anyway.
Yeah, well, I mean, and the drama can get pretty major here and across that mountain if the wrong
There's
person.
no small accidents.
No, they're really not. So, but no, overall, I thought it was fantastic racing. I love it when they start swapping spots and stuff, even if it's due to the draft. I don't care. I think it's fun. It's exciting to see that, and so I am absolutely looking forward to the combined Monza thing. I know from previous experience, I've done several SR8 championships here on the JPB Broadcasting channel with SR8s at Monza on the combined layout, and it's fantastic. Everybody thinks that the oval section is going to be the main drama, and it certainly can be. But that place is so much fun to hold a season finale. It is great. I can't wait.
Yeah, it certainly is. Lives up to its mantra as the Temple of Speed. But we go from one mountain to one temple, I guess, for the final round of the season. But that really concludes all the action here from Mount Panorama and Bathurst. So I've been Edward Hunter. He has been Jim Cunningham. Thank you very much for joining us. And make sure to get in contact with Radical Race Series if you want to take part yourself, or indeed for the final race, or maybe even next season when the season 2 of 2026 gets underway. But for now, thank you very much for joining us, and you never know, we might see you and commentate on you on track one day as well. So have a good night, and farewell. Goodbye.